Bonjour. Bonjour les amis. Bienvenue. Is the picture okay? Or is it a little blurry? Cell coverage is not great where I'm standing right now. Bonjour, bonjour. I see your names pop up. Could you tell me if the picture quality is decent, even if it's a little blurry? This town has been challenging me for the last 20 minutes. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Bruce. I wasn't sure. I only saw one or two bars. Perfect. I put the name of this lovely town in the introduction for this live stream. For this live stream, the name is Saint-Maur, Sainte-Maur, M-A-U-R, des Fossés. And it is one of many towns in the Val-de-Marne outside Paris, in the eastern section of Paris. I don't know if you've had a chance to catch the live stream I did earlier on the main page when I was standing by the Marne River outside Charles Trenet's home. I wanted to show you both, and I did not know how to do that, so I decided to do the first live stream and then the second one here. Got to be creative. So earlier I was in La Varenne-Saint-Hilaire, where Charles Trenet lived, which is actually connected to this town. They're part of the same town. Thank you for confirming picture quality is good. That helps. Thank you. And here we are in Saint-Maur-des-Fossés. And Saint-Maur-des-Fossés, I really like this town. My cousin used to live here. My uncle used to live in the city across the Marne from this, so you might say that my family history is around here too. I used to visit them with my family when I was younger. Yes, it's been a lovely day, a lovely week actually, and we are expecting some pretty hot temperatures. I'm going to cross here because I like this part. It's like a little village. I love this square. We are in the older part of town. It's known as le Vieux Saint-Maur, the old Saint-Maur, and it's really like a village. You have your bench, you have the church we've been looking at, which is called St. Nicholas Church, built in the 11th century. It's been here forever. And then you have your, what do you have? You have a boucherie, your butcher shop, and over there you have your tabac, and behind that house over there is the boulangerie. My plan, to be honest, was to get a snack and to show you my snack, and La Boulangerie, the line was so long I had to give up. And it's after 6 p.m. here, but the line was still long, so I guess it was people buying fresh bread for dinner. So I didn't get my snack. I might get it afterwards. So let's see, what should I do? I'd like to take a little walk with you. I'm just concerned the coverage is not that great. So why don't we go this way, and then I'll take you to the place that's really popular, famous in this town. So you can see these buildings are older. We have a lot of 17th and 18th century buildings in Saint-Maur-des-Fossés, in the old part of town. The reason is we had a chateau here a long time ago, so I'll talk about the chateau. We also had a very famous abbey. And they've done a good job at maintaining. Here is St. Nicholas Church. And you can see these buildings next to it. Those houses are quite old as well. But the town has done a good job at keeping everything in good shape. And bonjour madame. Here on this building you have this beautiful entrance. The lady is standing at her window. She's going to hide now. Perfect. There is a mascaron. You see this female face. And there's a sign telling us that this whole section around this entrance here is not originally from here. It came from a hôtel particulier, or private residence, that actually sat in another part of town that dated back to the 17th century. 17th century, known as le Grand Siècle, because it was the century of Louis XIV. So I'm going to just walk around this block to give you a feel for the old part of town. And the Marne River is literally 5 minutes away down the street. So these lucky people who live here, and here's the infamous boulangerie with the line that was so slow, but now of course there's no line. I suppose I could go in and order for everyone. For me it would be un flan parisien, not sure what it would be for you. See? We have plenty of good things left, so I shall be back later. And like I said, it's like the heart of a little village here in the old town. You have the little épicerie, le petit marché. You have the tabac, which is also a cafe where all the locals meet. They were rough housing earlier. They were really funny. I don't know what they were going. Bonsoir, bienvenue if you just joined us. We are walking in a town that is connected to the place I showed you earlier in a live stream on the main page. The other town is called La Varenne-Saint-Hilaire, and this is Saint-Maur-des-Fossés. And if you want to Google it while we chat, the name is listed in the introduction for this chat, so you can look it up. And if you look up Saint-Maur-des-Fossés, you will see that pictures or illustrations will pop up of a very famous abbey as well as a chateau. So we will talk about that in a minute. Hope the connection's going to hold up. I love this door. I always look at this door when I come here. Look at that. So there's no doubt in my mind whatever's behind that door, that building that I see in the back used to be a bourgeois home or one of the pretty homes in this area. The massive door. So let's walk up the street so I can point out a couple of things that the old part of Saint-Maur is famous for. It's Saturday, end of the day, after 6 p.m., pretty quiet. There was a wedding going on, so the park was not quiet at all earlier. See the pretty lights? They do a good job in this town. There's an association known as Le Vieux Saint-Maur, the Old Saint-Maur, and they're very active. So the facades are in pretty good shape. Look at this one. Look at this door. It's a big one too. I am on the Rue de la Procession, like a procession. I'm going to show you the sign in a second. I see it. Yeah, I should have shown it to you at the beginning so you can keep up. There it is. Bonjour Lisa. Thank you for joining us. So this is referred to as La Place d'Armes, the parade grounds, La Place d'Armes. And that tells you there was a chateau here. You have in Place d'Armes in Versailles, for example, right outside the chateau. That's right, Saint-Maur-des-Fossés. You see how clean? It's really nice. Little square here. And then the sun is hitting the back of St. Nicholas Church, the church that's been here since the 11th century. And I'm going to turn around so I can show you this building in the back. This beautiful building here was a chateau in the 16th century. Later on, it became a manufacturer, as they say, manufacture, which is a factory. And they specialized in beautiful fabrics, and they worked for the king in Versailles. So they provided the Chateau of Versailles with beautiful fabrics. Eventually, it became a Catholic school, a boarding house, and today it is indeed a private Catholic high school. So just this one building is, imagine if the walls could talk, right? It has seen a lot, and it's in impeccable shape. So I'm just walking around the church where we started. I want you to get a feel for this village, because the people here in Saint-Maur are adamant about having a city that feels like a village, and they fought long and hard for that in the 20th century, especially in the 60s and 70s when so many cities got covered in concrete. And they fought and they said, we want to keep the old part of town just the way it was, just like a village. And they succeeded, I'd say. Here you have a couple of cafes. Need to have your cafes, right? Or restaurants. They probably do both. And there's a fountain across the street. I don't know if you see it where the red umbrellas are. And here's a nice view here of St. Nicholas Church. There is a statue of a virgin inside that is very famous. It used to be in the abbey I'm going to discuss next, but now it's inside this church. So a lot of people still come here to see the statue of the Virgin. My cousin used to live here, like I mentioned earlier, until she moved to Brittany. She's the cousin I visited for 2 weeks in July in Brittany. That's where they decided to retire. But she lived here for many, many years. And her father, my uncle, lived across the Marne in Joinville-le-Pont, which is another town around here. Here's a nice view of the church. How did I get here? With my blue bike, Mésange. I left early afternoon. I wasn't sure where I was going to take you, to tell you the truth. I had a vague idea. And I reached Charles Trené's old home along the Marne River earlier, so I did the first live stream. And then I pedaled back here. It took a little while. It's not that far, but... and then figured out what I wanted to show you. So the bike took me here from Vincennes. It was about a 25-minute ride. I didn't push it. I didn't go very far. So here is the square where we started. I don't know if you remember. There's a statue I want to show you over there. I sure hope the connection will hold up, because I know that it's not great over there. But I would like you to see this statue. I'm walking on the road right now because I don't want to be obnoxious with the people sitting outside at the cafe. Do you see the statue here? We're coming. Hey Terry, welcome. Bienvenue if you just joined us, friends. We are in Saint-Maur-des-Fossés in the beautiful Val-de-Marne. Do you see the statue, this gentleman with this hat and this little boy and the dog? Does anybody have an idea who the gentleman is? I'll give you a hint, he's a very famous cinematographer. I know there's a delay in the comments, about 30 seconds at least. In the background over there, they're playing pétanque. There's a huge pétanque court on both sides of the street, actually. That's where I tied up my bike. I don't see any answers pop up, so I will give you the answer. The gentleman is Jacques Tati, the movie maker. Jacques Tati, T-A-T-I. He made this movie in the late 1950s called Mon Oncle, My Uncle, which is delightful. Yes, Sylvain. Yeah, I saw it. There's a big delay in the comments, sorry. You got it, you called it. So Jacques Tati shot parts of the movie Mon Oncle, My Uncle, here in Saint-Maur, and that's why this statue is here. It's lovely. The trees are beautiful everywhere. They haven't turned quite yet. Some of them are starting to. You can hear the sounds of the pétanque over there. All right, let's go down to where I wanted to show you what this town is famous for, other than Jacques Tati and the movie. Right. Is he going to let me go? Of course not. This is pretty. The light, the tree, and these lovely buildings. So, yes, his silhouette, Jacques Tati's silhouette is very recognizable, isn't it? This is where I started the walk. I don't know if you remember. I was just standing here earlier, and this is the church. So all we did is walk around the block, around the church, just to get you a feel of give you a feel, sorry, for the village-like atmosphere here in the Vieux Saint-Maur, the old part of Saint-Maur. And then you can go down, like if I kept going down this street, which is called Rue de l'Abbaye, the Abbey Street, A-B-B-A-Y-E. You'll know why in a second. If I keep going down the street, I would reach the Marne River in about 5 minutes. I'm not in Seattle anymore. I'm not in Paris anymore either. I am in the burbs, in the lovely parts of the burbs. So this building that I'm pointing at right now dates back to the 18th century. There are sections of this town that makes me think of the city of Versailles, not the castle, but the city. The elegance and the pretty buildings. Look at how nice it is. I'm going to stand here to show you for a sec. Whoops, pardon madame. Look at that. It's so pretty, isn't it, this facade? Yeah, sorry to hear about the fires. I saw some horrific pictures of Seattle today. And my son just left Seattle to head back to California to college. He had been home for months. Yeah, cars don't usually wait for you at crosswalks in Paris, in the Paris area. Paris is well known for that. I have saved a nice view for you, so this is the start of it. I want to make my little, I'm not Jacques Tati, but I'm going to try and give you a pretty view here. Look at that. Oh, I see the bride. Some people are still here from the wedding. The bride is on the right-hand side, I think. So look at these pretty grounds here. What do you think of that? So Saint-Maur-des-Fossés, right from the very, very early Middle Ages, had a beautiful abbey here that kept growing. And at some point in time, it became a popular pilgrimage site because they had the relics of Saint Maur, M-A-U-R. He was the saint who was very respected. And so his fans came all over to see his relics here in the abbey. The abbey was massive. I mean, you can't even imagine from where I'm standing, it would be the buildings would have been on the right-hand side here, all the way to the back of that pathway. And then you have, over time, of course, they did a lot of work on it. It wasn't always a pleasant part of history what happened to this abbey. But this tower here is known as La Tour Rabelais. You know the French author from the 16th century, Rabelais, R-A-B-E-L-A-I-S. Back in the 100 Years' War, during the 100 Years' War in the 14th century, the future Charles V, the French king, stayed here in Saint-Maur and built those fortifications to protect the abbey because Paris was in the hands of the English. And so he stayed here to prepare an attack on Paris. He built 4 towers and very high walls, and this is the only tower still standing. If I get a little closer, you will see that it's really medieval and was meant to protect. Can you see what do you call those slits on the walls where they could shoot arrows? I forgot what the name is in English. So it was really medieval. So picture walls, and if I step here, you can imagine part of the walls here on the side. You see how the wall starts running? Only half of it is left. And it went all the way around the abbey grounds. And they had to destroy part of the abbey to do that too. So there was some definite turmoil during the 100 Years' War here. That abbey was eventually destroyed in the 18th century before the French Revolution. So only some ruins remain, but Saint-Maur has turned it into a lovely park. I think it's the bride we see holding her skirt, walking away. So I am hesitant to walk down because when I did earlier, I could see the connection was getting very weak. So what I'll do is I'll keep walking, and when you tell me it gets too blurry, I'll stop, okay? And then I'll walk back, because there is one thing that's left over there from the old abbey, the chapel. There's part of the chapel that's left, and I'd really like for you to see it, but I'm not sure that I'm going to make it to that gate over there. So I'll try. If not, I took pictures and I'll probably share them later on Facebook. I'll do a pictorial travelogue on Sunday like I always do. See the ruins? So a giant abbey that became quite famous because it turned into a pilgrimage site really, eventually destroyed. In the 16th century, yeah, I'm going to try and show you that chapel before it cuts off. In the 16th century, they built a chateau here. And Philibert Delorme, who was a very popular architect, very famous architect in the 16th century during the Renaissance, built the chateau. Eventually, I see somebody saying video is frozen. So I hope it's not the connection issues I was talking about. I'll wait to see if there's another comment. Okay, Jen, thank you. So I'll keep walking until you'll tell me you can't see anything. If we get cut off, just come back on because I'll just step back outside and we can sit somewhere and chat, okay? So don't leave me if it gets cut off, I'll be back. So the chateau, as I was saying, was built in the 16th century. And then in the 17th century, the chateau would have been standing on higher ground to the right of here. Pretty much, do you remember where those pétanque players were? That's where the chateau would have been. And if you Google Saint-Maur des Fossés Chateau, you will see illustrations of this chateau. You will not believe how beautiful that chateau. It looks like a small Versailles. The chateau that was improved upon over the course of about 100 years, the gardens, and it basically touched the abbey. And then the chateau was given to a very powerful French family, a branch of the Bourbon family who ruled France. They were known as the Condé family, C-O-N-D-E. Le Grand Condé, the Great Condé, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, was well known for being one of the noblemen who fought against Anne of Austria when her son, the future Louis XIV, was very young. Eventually, he rallied the king, made a lot of money, but his family owned this chateau. The chateau was completely destroyed as well after the French Revolution, so nothing is left of the chateau, but you can see illustrations online, it's impressive. Saint-Maur des Fossés. If it is the name of the city, you need to spell. I'm going to show you the bride discreetly. Isn't she pretty? Saint-Maur des Fossés is listed in the introduction for this chap, so you can find it there if you don't know how to spell it. Why is the chateau gone? Because during the French Revolution, a lot of things got destroyed. A lot of churches, a lot of abbeys, a lot of chateaus. France lost a lot of buildings and, valuable furniture and artifacts during the French Revolution. So, this gate, you go in the back of the park here. It's been turned into a park now, but this gate came from a beautiful private mansion, Hôtel Particulier, that sat across the Marne River in the other town across from us. And they brought it here in the 18th century and they set it up here. You can see the beautiful work. I hope you can still see and it's not about to cut off. If I can make it to the illustration on the other side, you will understand how the castle and the abbey were laid out here on this large piece of land. And the chapel is on that side. I'll take you there next. So let's see if I can show you the illustration. There. This is an illustration. Right now we are standing right here where the abbey was, and you can see the beautiful chateau that's no more. And it overlooked, it really touched the abbey, and you can see the beautiful grounds. So it was really like a mini Versailles. And this was done in 1710, so early 18th century, well before the French Revolution. So this is what it looked like. And all that's left today, well, the chateau's gone, but all that's left are ruins of the formerly great abbey that had become such a big pilgrimage site. And they've turned this part into a beautiful park. Now, see this tree? It's a cedar, and it's the oldest tree in the park. It's 150 years old. I saw the sign earlier. Sky is beautiful. Picture is still great. I'm amazed. I only had one bar in here. Well, not complaining. I'll take it. So there's sections, you can still see sections of walls that were either the abbey or parts of the chateau. Look at this little door. I wonder where it leads. I would love to open it. There's a padlock. You see the walls? Yes, it's the perfect, I agree. The weather is just perfect today. Not too hot. It will be tomorrow though. I would not have done that tomorrow. Oh, there's almost 40 of you in here. Wonderful. All right, so the chapel is right here, what's left of it. The secret garden door, that's right, Terry. I'm going to try and take you to the, so you can, if I stand in front of it, you'll see better. All that's left of the chapel. And there's a sign in front of it that tells you the whole story, but it's a long one. It's incredible to think of what was here, and now it's all gone. This chateau, I wish I could have seen it. Over there, there's one pillar left that was also part of the abbey. Just one pillar, you see it? So, and the park just keeps going. Saint-Maur kind of sits on a hill. Oh yeah, painters would love it here. Saint-Maur sits on a hill. That's why they built the castle above the abbey, because it was a really nice site, right? It overlooked the Maur River, I'm sure. So, let's see. Hope it doesn't. Stay with me. All right, we made it. Here is the only thing that's left of the old chapel. There was a chapel. Oop, I'm not very straight here. There was a chapel. And that's all that's left. And see how it's connected? It almost looks like a cloister. And it's connected to that house because in the they did some work on it. In the 19th and 20th century, they kind of connected it and turned it into a home. But before that, of course, this dates back, I mean, there are sections of what you're looking at that date back to the 12th through the 14th century. That's incredible. It's very, very old. Magical place, huh? There's a well. I hadn't seen the well earlier. See the well? And beautiful trees. They are starting to turn a little. Not too much. Whoops. Now it's really peaceful. The whole wedding party is gone. So they have signs all over the place and they tell you about what was what and, you know. And here's the Virgin, Our Lady, because the original church, all the way back to the 700s, was named after Mary. And so this is Our Lady of the Miracles, the statue I told you about, made of wood. It's made of, they say, sculpted and painted wood. And they put it now, it used to be in here, right here in this chapel. And they took it to that church I showed you earlier, Nicholas Church, St. Nicholas Church. So the statue you can still see if you come. And here's a picture of the chapel after it was renovated in the 19th century. That does look nice, actually. Look at that. He did a good job. So it was connected to a house. That's true. Though it looks pretty different now, so I'm not quite sure how that went because I don't see the other part. It looks like something's missing. Yeah, that middle section is missing. Well, good for them. They tried to recycle the old chapel, I guess. If I lived in Saint-Maur, I would come here very often to read or work or... One last peek at the chapel. Well, it's pretty with this light. You can really see the details too. There must have been a statue in the front. I wonder if that's where the Virgin was. Well, that's outside though, probably not. Ooh, and the chapel is needing work. Look at that. House buying? I don't think so. Too much work. Yeah, look at what they have to do to help the chapel. It's not doing so well. Well, I guess if you had been born in the 12th century or the 11th century, we probably wouldn't look so good either. So the point of this little walk is to show you that outside Paris, outside bonjour, little boy, he's like, what is she doing? He looked at me like I was an alien. I am an alien. I'm holding something silly looking. The point of this is to show you that outside the usual day trips outside Paris, you know, Versailles, Fontainebleau, Vaux-le-Vicomte, yes, they have beautiful chateaus, but you can see towns like Saint-Maur-des-Fossés. If you do a little bit of research, there is history here too. If you like old stones, if you like architecture, if you like buildings, there's a lot to see in towns like Saint-Maur-des-Fossés. And then you have the Maur River, where you can rent on a pretty day a kayak or a, what do we call those boards with the paddle thingy? You know what I mean. You can rent those and play by the river. So this is the area they've created right next to the medieval tower I showed you at the beginning. They have created the kids area, so that's where kids play. Of course, the whole place is protected, historic monument of France, so nothing can be done to it anymore. Completely protected. I feel like I'm the queen of something walking outside my estate now. A paddleboard, thank you. Look, this could be Versailles. À tout à l'heure, Lisa. Thank you for coming. I'll just stand here. Oh, this tree is lovely in this light. Look at that. It's so pretty. Exactly. It's nice too. That's why I like virtual travel too. I want to show you the back of the tower, the medieval tower that the future Charles V built to protect this area against the British. Nothing much is left of those walls. You can imagine them encircling the whole area. Oh, on this side you can really see the medieval tower very well and the defense system. La Tour Rabelais, named after the famous 16th century writer. Bonjour! The kids just said hi, it's so cute. They're playing in there, I don't know what they're doing. I'm glad you agree, Denise. I mean, it's smaller than Versailles, right? But there is something there. The Jardin à la Française, the French-style gardens, the old stones. And Paris has many, many, many towns like this. And the Val-de-Marne in particular, this area where I am today, has so many. I had a lovely day. I just ventured out, a lovely afternoon. I just ventured out on my bike, just followed the trails and drove through several little towns, rode through several little towns and stopped for that live stream outside Charles Trené's old home and then headed back here. It's on the way home, and I could have stopped at a few others and shown you other things. I mean, there's just a lot to see. Ooh, sunset in my eyes. Here's that pretty building again from the 18th century. The one we saw when we came in. The lovely facade. Very civilized. I'm going to go over there and sit on that bench in that little square, which is exactly where I sat when I came here last time in June, 2 days after the confinement ended. Everything was closed except for the boulangerie. And I sat on that bench with my backpack, the one I have today, and I had a thermos with coffee So people were lining outside the boulangerie, and I sat on the bench and had my coffee late morning, and then I headed down to the river. And I promised myself I would come back when everything had reopened. So thank you for joining me today, because that day was today. Look at that, the village square, right outside Paris. Now, of course, it's not all of Saint-Maur. Saint-Maur has more modern areas as well. But this is the old Saint-Maur, the historical part. All right, whoops, I'll sit. Across from us over there, across from us behind the roundabout, is the statue of Jacques Tati I showed you a few minutes ago. Et voilà, coucou. Just say a little cuckoo in person. I hope you've enjoyed this little walk. Do you have any questions for me? Or comments? Or what town is it again? It's Saint-Maur des Fossés, and the name is listed in the introduction of this live stream. You'll see it typed up there. It's a mouthful. Saint-Maur des Fossés. My plans for les Journées du Patrimoine next weekend is to stay away from the crowds, because COVID or not, there will be crowds. I think I will actually have a plan that involves this same area, le Val-de-Marne. I won't say what it is now, just in case it doesn't work out. I don't want people to be disappointed, but if it works out, I'm working on a virtual tour, and a family that played a very important part in French life in different locations in France. And one of their sites, they lived and worked outside, farther out east here. So I'm hoping to do that, because they're the old residents. There's an exhibit that will be available during les Journées du Patrimoine, which is Heritage Days. So I'm hoping to do that. Merci beaucoup. Yeah, the haircut is a little short, but oh well. And this mask is slipping, which is annoying. Pretty soon I won't see my eyes anymore. You can get to a lot of these places. I'm trying to adjust this thing. Here we go. You can get to a lot of these places like Saint-Maur with the RER train. So you could come here with the RER train, line A, going east, and it would be a 10-minute walk from the train station to arrive here in the old part of town. That's what I did in June. I did not have a bike then. And then you could walk all the way to La Varenne-Saint-Hilaire, where Charles Trenet, it's like you can make it a day. Just bring a picnic, a backpack. I think the best way to see this whole area is probably by bike, because with a bike you can stop and go and see more. You can just cover more, even if you're a good walker. So I would recommend renting a bike. You could rent a bike near Vincennes, a Vélib, and then just follow the trails. Just follow the trails all the way out here and choose one of these towns, or choose several, and explore the Val-de-Marne. So that would be a nice way to do it with a bike. 43 of you are still here. That's awesome. That's great. This is such a lovely square. I might just stay here longer. Wish I had a picnic. I didn't bring a picnic. Oh well. Oh well, oh well. Oh, you're welcome. I see your messages. Thank you. Yeah, but you're welcome. Thank you for joining me. Well, I guess you get 2 walks today. You get this walk, and then you get the one I did earlier on the other page, on the other Facebook page. So as club members, you get 2 walks instead of 1. Ah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So today I sent out a newsletter. I try to send one each month. I started doing that in May or June. I forgot one in August. I didn't think about it in August. I was traveling and I was busy. So I sent a long one today. And if you want to receive the newsletter on a regular basis, then you should sign up on the French Girl in Seattle website, FrenchGirlInSeattle.com. You'll see La mailing list on the top or on the side, and you just add your email address, and then you get the newsletter when it comes out. What did you say about the tourist office? Is there a tourist office with information? I'm not sure there is a tourist office. It's very small, but I know the association called Le Vieux Saint-Maur, the Old Saint-Maur, is very active, so I'm pretty sure they have a website. If I remember to, I will look it up later and I will add the website so you can look. Sorry, my finger is in the way. Yeah, I'll definitely go to the boulangerie for a treat. Well, I try to answer questions. You're welcome. Yes, I know the air quality is horrendous in Seattle, in California. I remember the last 2 summers I was in Seattle, we had the same issue. I think it might be worse now, but it was terrible when I was there the last 2 years. It's been happening almost every year. Do I archive my monthly newsletters? Not really, because I just started doing them. I suppose I should think of something. I'll figure out how to archive them. I've only written about 3. It's a pretty new idea. I just used to email people when I had a new blog post, and then I realized that it might be a good idea to also share some updates and news with them. So I started doing a newsletter, which is why I mentioned it. But I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to save the archives. There was one in July. Yes, there was one in July. Yeah, I know it's an interesting year, isn't it? It's like, what else is going to happen this year? What else could possibly go wrong? Bring it on, 2020. My son is still driving, so I'm wondering, he hasn't arrived in California yet, so I'll call him later because he'll be getting tired. He's been driving for hours now. It's not easy. I don't want to drop my device here. Ah, you're welcome. Here, let's show you the sights a little bit. You don't need to look at me. Ooh, skateboard. It feels, you're so close to Paris. You're so close to Paris and it feels like you're in a little village. You are, I guess, in a little village. That's how locals wanted it. That's right. I mentioned the Tour de France and Paris in my newsletter today. It is next Sunday, isn't it? They haven't changed it, so it's going to happen again. Let's give you a peek at St. Nicholas Church again, where that statue of the Virgin is. Will I share my apéro later? What do you mean, if I have one? I was going to go for a pastry, actually, and it's almost dinner time. Maybe I should buy something for dinner, too. Maybe I'll eat here and then go home. Rental homes? Where? In Paris? Do you mean long-term or like Airbnbs or? What do you mean, Tony? Hey, Andrea. So your name pop up. I love the delay in the comments. Oh, where you are, where I am in Vincennes or near Vincennes. Yeah, everything is expensive. It's considered like, it's like Paris. It's downtown Paris. Paris is an expensive city, just like New York or London. Rents are pretty high. The problem in Paris is not to bonjour, Andrea. The problem in Paris is not to find a home or to be able to afford a home. It's to find a landlord who will accept to rent it to you if you don't have a permanent work contract and pay stubs, etc. So that's extremely difficult to do because the market is so tight. And the law here protects tenants over landlords, so landlords are extremely selective when they choose someone. So the only way for someone who does not have a permanent work contract and doesn't make at least 3 times the amount of the rent when they get paid, you need to make 3 times the rent. If you don't do that, if you don't have a work contract, the only way you're going to make it is through word of mouth. Or through consultants like Adrian Leeds, etc., who will charge you a fee to help you. That's the only way you're going to find a house. It really depends on the neighborhood. I think prices are pretty high. Like a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Paris can go It can go, I don't know, in a nice neighborhood, it starts at 1,500 euros. So factoring in the exchange rate, it's not far off from $2,000 a month. So it's for a one-bedroom apartment. But again, it's not the matter of paying for it. It's the matter of finding a landlord who's going to trust you if you don't have a work contract. That was my biggest problem. And that's the biggest problem of a lot of expats or former expats in Paris and in France in general, which is really enough to make you pull your hair out. I saw a question about my bike. My bike is tied up. I have a rental bike through Veligo, which is a rental service, brand new service in the Ile-de-France. I have one of their 10,000 bikes. And I rented it for 9 months. I have to return it in October. And it's fully equipped, extremely comfortable. It's an electric bike. And it comes with a padlock and a chain that you can tie up to things. So that's what I did. This being said, it might be gone already. Maybe it's been stolen. But there's insurance on it, so I'm okay, no matter what happens. I just tie it up to a lamppost or something, whatever I find. And then I'll ride back. It's going to be a nice evening before the heat returns tomorrow, so I will enjoy that ride. Actually, it's not tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday, so the heat returns on Monday. Monday and Tuesday are going to be super hot again.